Welcome back to A People's Guide to Publishing. I'm Joe Biel, the founder and CEO of Microcosm Publishing and Distribution. I'm also the author of A People's Guide to Publishing, which distills what I've learned from selling millions of books over the past 25 years.
I'm Elly. I'm the editorial and marketing director here at Microcosm. We are an independent mid-list publisher based in Portland, Oregon, and Cleveland, Ohio. We have over 700 books, over 25 employees, and we make about 40 new books every year. And we distribute thousands of titles from other publishers.
We started this podcast so that we can share what we've learned with newer publishers so that you can learn from our mistakes.
Or maybe you just want to understand the publishing industry.
This week, we are going to tackle the greatest albatross of all. How does math find its way into all aspects of publishing?
Books are math!
And this is, I feel like this is sort of my everlasting mantra is that, I see over and over where people say things like, oh, there's no way to do that, or there's no, formula for that, or there's, just no way to handle this, or no way to know what's going to happen, or, and every single time I'm like, but math is the answer to all of those things every single time.
There's always a math formula. So what are the ways that math can be used in publishing that currently is not?
Well, the biggest, simplest ways are to predict your income in 3 months, or in 6 months, or in 1 year, or in 5 years.
Budgeting.
But it's more than budgeting. It's it's because of the way publishing schedules are, it's very easy to take your historical data, add changes in your publishing schedule, and more or less predict the future, dare I say.
Whoa. That's more than math. That's magic.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you can say, what did I make last October? What did I make last June? What is different about the amount of books that I am publishing this year? What is going to be the likely outcome? It's not even difficult. That's basic rules of estimation. And, and it's if you can't do that, or your numbers are way too all over the place, that means you need to do some other math and figure out which of your books are your evergreen backlist, meaning older books that came out prior to this year that are still selling, that, you essentially want those to be the things that pay for everything. And then figure out what it is about those books that make them do that, and then make more books like that, because otherwise, you won't last very long.
What else can you use math for?
Oh, all the things. You can make math to figure out what you should publish. You can use math to figure out, when you should cut your losses. You can use math to figure out when you need to hire more people. You can use math to figure out where you are bleeding money. You can use math to figure out what kind of people you should work with, what kind of books you should publish. Oh, it's endless.
Whether or not you should do an event.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Adding up the columns of sales for that event. That's what I use math for mostly.
I know, and I hear it so frequently from publishers that they're like, but I don't want to. And I'm like, well, then I guess the results are predictable. It's I don't want to do a lot of things.
It doesn't have to be scary. I am not a mathematical person, or at least not math.
Actually, you're entirely made of math, so that's false.
Whoa. I am not spiritually inclined toward the religion of mathematics myself. But,
don't denigrate my faith.
I'm just saying, it's not mine.
Mm-hmm.
It's something we're different. It's a way that we're different. See our podcast about our differences, which might not even have aired yet by the time this one does. Anyway, I found that there are ways to make math fun, and that mostly has to do with figuring out fun things to do with spreadsheets. And I'm also reading a book about how to do math in your head very quickly, which really does actually help a lot with thinking. It helps a lot with taking the fear out of it.
Yeah.
Or the sort of feeling that you can't do it when you're oh, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's so many, it's a mindset issue mostly above all. And I think, like, I can't remember there's a psychological term for people that avoid creating a personal budget or, like, looking at their finances.
Financial trauma?
No, there's a more specific term for it, like the people that would rather not know because the anxiety of like they assume the information would force them to act in a way that they are not acting presently.
We have a book for you. It's called Unfuck Your Worth.
Yeah. And so that always fascinated me because I was like, how would you not want to know? And then I listened to some interviews with some people, like some psychologists who were like, yeah, this is why this happens. And, it's especially people that have, like, had years of financial instability that they would literally rather not know than fix their problems, and I see that every single day with publishers where they're like, I just don't want to do this.
But, like, you know what? There are people who do want to do that, and you can work with them.
Yeah, they're very available.
And sometimes they're, like, really nice people who can explain it in a way that's soothing, like Joe.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
You do have a way of making the math seem less intimidating and more exciting.
Well, that's the thing. It was never intimidating to begin with.
Not to you.
Well, no, but it wasn't. It's like, it's not the math that's intimidating. It's like the ideas that people have about the math that intimidates them.
I mean...
Like, people have, it's like they had a bad experience. It's the same as any other trauma.
Mm-hmm.
A dog bit them once, so they think that all dogs are dangerous.
Yep. Math bites you every day.
Struggled once upon a time in high school with math, so they assumed that it was useless, and, don't even get me started, think that, like, the Pythagorean theorem, or algebra, or calculus does not have a place in daily life. Just because you are not using it in daily life doesn't mean it's not useful. That just means you're, like, shortchanging yourself a vital tool.
I feel like the more traumatic thing is capitalism, and that is legitimate. Like, that is intimidating.
Sure.
And don't let them get you down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thanks for joining us once again.
Please send your questions to podcast@microcosmpublishing.com so we can answer them on future episodes.
And please give us 5 stars on iTunes and everywhere else that podcasts are reviewed.
You can find us on the internet at microcosm.pub.
On Twitter at Microcosm.
On Facebook at Microcosm Publishing.
On Instagram at Microcosm_pub.
And here in Portland, Oregon on North Williams Avenue.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful week.